Is it possible for a gold or bronze saint to suppress their cosmo and live an ordinary life while the world heads toward the abyss? What will happen in the new Zeus saga? Will there be a time skip in Knights of the Zodiac? Hello, Saints and Amazons. Welcome to the Semperquis Saber channel. Today we're going to reveal one of the most exciting and detailed theories about the future of Saint Seiya. Let's explore what would happen if we had a drastic time skip in the upcoming Heavens saga. Go ahead and comment what your expectations are for this new saga, which will be released next month. And of course, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and let's get into this awesome video. Always wanted. Our story begins where many fans imagine the direct confrontation between Earth and Mount Olympus. As we know from the series' mythology, Athena's sanctuary is the stronghold that protects humanity from the arbitrary will of the gods. Sayori Kido, the reincarnation of the goddess of strategic war and wisdom, has always chosen the side of humans. However, after the successive defeats of Poseidon and Hades, with the latter having his mythological body destroyed, the balance of the universe was shaken. Olympus could no longer ignore Athena's insubordination. In theory, the Olympian offensive is led by deities such as Hera, who sends Artemis, the goddess of the moon, and Apollo, the god of the sun, whose powers far surpass anything the knights have faced before. However, I believe that both Artemis and Apollo do not want to destroy Athena, and therefore they will at least be benevolent toward the goddess, which will result in other enemies being sent by Olympus. Even with the support of her loyal bronze knights, Sayori realizes that the only way to avoid the total annihilation of the human race is by surrendering herself. So she chooses to face Olympus alone, while Seiya and the others are without their memories. Athena faces Olympus in a divine hearing, but she is judged as a traitor. As punishment, she is not executed, which would turn her into a martyr. And so she is imprisoned in a dimension of eternal isolation at the top of Mount Olympus, sealed by chains that drain her divine cosmo. With Athena imprisoned, the sanctuary loses its spiritual guide. The world enters an era of apparent peace, but under the silent rule of the gods who decide to erase the heroes' memories in their cosmo so that they will never pose a threat again. With that, we would have a time jump, the famous time skip, which happens in several anime. 30 years go by and we are now in the present day, decades after the holy wars of the 20th century. The world has changed, technology has advanced, and the constellations in the sky now seem like just distant points of light, without the mystical connection they once had with humans. In this setting, we meet Seiya, the man who once wore the Pegasus armor, a garment that, according to tradition, has always stood by Athena's side since the mythological era. Now, at over 40 years old, Seiya has finally achieved what he always wanted: peace. He found his sister Saga, who had been missing for years, and she was protected by Eagle Marine during the battle against Hades. Seiya now lives in Japan, working at the Children of the Stars orphanage, the same place where he was raised before being separated from his sister and sent for training at the sanctuary by the Grodd Foundation. He leads a simple life, taking care of the children, fixing toys, and telling stories. Although he feels an inexplicable emptiness in his chest, as if he has forgotten a vital promise, he doesn't remember the Pegasus meteors or reaching the seventh sense. To him, the scars on his body are reminders of a turbulent youth that he can't quite recall in detail. Meanwhile, around the world, the other former defenders also live their civilian lives. Shiryu, who was once the Dragon Knight, trained in the 5 ancient peaks of Rozan, now lives in harmony with nature, possibly taking care of his family, unaware that his hands were once able to open the flow of the waterfall. Hyoga, who is a former Knight of Cygnus, remains connected to the frozen lands of Siberia, living in solitude, feeling only a nostalgic cold that time cannot warm. Shun of Andromeda, the man with the purest heart, who was almost the ultimate host of Hades, now dedicates himself to medicine and charity, always feeling that there is a pain in the world he should be fighting in another way. Kiki of Phoenix, as always, is a wandering soul. He is the only one who seems to keep a flame of restlessness, traveling through the shadows of the world, feeling that the fire inside him has not yet been completely extinguished. While the heroes are living their ordinary lives, in the sanctuary of Greece, something is stirring. The sanctuary was not destroyed. The man responsible for keeping the flame alive is Kiki. Kiki was Mu of Ares' young disciple for those who don't remember. He belongs to the race of inhabitants from the lost continent of Mu, or Lemuria, known for their longevity, telekinesis, and, above all, their unique ability to repair armor. Kiki grew up under the tutelage of the Gold Saint Mu and inherited not only the Ares armor, but also the responsibility of being the regent of the sanctuary in the absence of Athena and the Grand Master. Kiki is now an experienced master with a countenance marked by responsibility. He knows that the seal imprisoning Athena in Olympus is about to become permanent. If nothing is done now, Saori's essence will be dissipated and the earth will be left vulnerable to the next divine cleansing. Using his telepathic powers and the ancient knowledge of cloth restoration, Kiki spends decades working in secret in the depths of the 12 houses. He's not just repairing armor, he's actually recreating them. He uses Gamanian, orichalcum, and stardust, the legendary materials needed for forging, but adds a new element: the remaining blood of the gods and the essence of sacrifice. Kiki writes physical letters written with a cosmo that resonates with the past. He sends the first one to Japan, addressed to a certain orphanage instructor. Seiya receives the letter. When he touches the paper, he feels an electric shock run down his spine. Images of a fire clock, golden armors, and a woman with lilac hair flash in his mind. Without explaining to Saga or to his friends at the orphanage, he packs his bags. The calling is stronger than reason. Upon arriving at the sanctuary ruins in Greece, Seiya encounters 4 men who seem strangely familiar. Although they are older and dressed in civilian clothes, Shiryu, Yoga, Shun, and Ikki are there. The atmosphere is one of awkwardness. They recognize each other as childhood friends, but the bond of brotherhood as warriors is still blocked by the mists the gods have imposed on their memories. Ikki appears before them. He is no longer the mischievous boy who used to ask Seiya to carry the armor case. He is Mu's successor now. "You have come," says Ikki, his voice echoing with the authority of a gold saint. "The world has forgotten you, and you have forgotten the world you once protected. But the stars? The stars never forget." Ikki leads them to a secret chamber beneath Athena's altar. There, 5 bronze cloth boxes are arranged. They shine with an intensity that no earthly object should possess. These are the new bronze cloths, rebuilt by Ikki. They are no longer the simple versions from the beginning of their journeys. They carry the evolution of all the battles, from the galactic tournament to the Elysian fields. Ikki asks each one to touch the urn corresponding to their guardian constellation. As soon as Seiya places his hand on the cold metal of the Pegasus cloth box, the cosmo around him bursts into light. The mental block imposed by the gods is shattered. Each knight's personal Big Bang happens once again. Seiya sees everything: the fight against the Black Knights, Cassius's sacrifice, the fall of the Silver Knights, the epic climb through the 12 houses against the Gold Knights, the battle under the waters against Poseidon, and the horror of the Wall of Lamentation in the underworld. The memories don't come alone. They bring back their cosmo. The air around the veterans begins to vibrate. The temperature drops around Yoga. The ground cracks beneath Shiryu's feet. Currents of air form whirlwinds around Shun, and an aura of intense heat emanates from Ikki. The armors leap from the urns and attach themselves to the bodies of the warriors in their early 40s. The design is majestic. They cover more of the body, with embossed details reminiscent of the divine armors, although they still retain the bronze tone, indicating that their full power still depends on burning their cosmo to infinity. Seiya looks at his hands, now protected by the gloves of the Pegasus armor. His eyes, once tired from the passage of time, now shine with the determination of someone who has already challenged the gods. "Saori," murmurs Seiya, "she's still there. I can feel her cosmo. It's weak, but she's calling us." The situation is explained by Ikki. Athena is trapped in the celestial prison, a region of Olympus where time does not pass, but the soul is slowly consumed to feed the light of the gods. The current Gold Saints, the successors of the generation of Mu, Shaka, and Saga, are scattered or keeping watch at the borders of the sanctuary. But the Olympic elite, the angels, and the lesser gods guard the path to the top. The 5 bronze saints make their decision. They will not wait for orders. They are the legendary generation. If the gods thought that time and oblivion would make them weak, they made a fatal mistake. They set out toward Mount Olympus. The journey is epic. Imagine these 5 men now mature, walking side by side as the sun sets in Greece, with their capes blowing in the wind and the metallic shine of their armor reflecting the light of the stars that begin to appear. The invasion of Olympus will not be easy. They will face the celestial angels, warriors whose garments, the glories, are superior to Poseidon's scales or Hades' surplices. But there's one thing the gods didn't expect: experience. A 40-year-old Seiya doesn't fight the same way as a 13-year-old Seiya. He's more precise. He doesn't waste energy. The Pegasus Comet, the one he fires now, has the strength of a supernova concentrated in a single point. Shiryu no longer needs to blind himself to sense the enemy. He has become one with the universe. Hyoga has turned his absolute zero into something that can even freeze divine time for a few seconds. The theory culminates in their meeting with Athena. When they reach the top of Olympus, they find Sayori. But she hasn't aged. As a goddess, her physical form remains the same, but her gaze is sad. When she sees her knights, her old friends now grown men, marked by time, she cries. Athena's tears fall onto the new bronze armors, making them instantly evolve into their divine forms one last time. The gods tried to erase the memories, but the Cosmo is born from the heart. As long as there is a reason to fight, whether it's for a sister, for an orphanage, or for a goddess who gave everything for them, the Cosmo will never truly be erased. Saint Seiya isn't just about special moves and shining armors. It's about the persistence of hope. Even as time passes and the world changes, the duty of a knight is eternal. Seiya, Shiryu, Hyoga, Shun, and Ikki prove that the old guard still has much to teach the new generations and even the gods themselves. And you, what did you think of this theory about how the first chapter would be after a time skip? Do you believe Ikki would be the ideal regent for the sanctuary? And how do you imagine the new armors created by Mu's disciple would look? Leave your opinion in the comments. And of course, thank you for watching this video until the end, and see you next time. Burn your Cosmo to infinity